Hi, how are you? Welcome to Guys Roll, where guys can be guys. You already know. Like, subscribe, turn notifications before we get to anything. Castlevania Nocturne Season 2.
Hey, it wasn't as good as Castlevania, but it was good. It was like, there was good, great, and excellent. It was like in the good category for me.
It was. Castlevania was better.
Castlevania
was better.
That last fight was peak. This, I could give too many spoilers, but this wasn't all that for a last fight in this anime. Everyone building up and leveling up. I liked it.
I appreciated that. I always like growth.
Yeah.
So it had that.
I hate how the main character at first seemed hella gay compared to his uncle or whatever, from Castlevania, but he seemed a little gay. But you know, he was pretty cool. He was getting doper as the series went along, but then the final fight wasn't nothing with him. Well, honestly, it wasn't. They like kind of ruined it.
Here's what it was. It could have been thing. I felt like it was like this. What did it kind of lessened it for me. I like the idea of a character with internal conflict and needing to overcome that. They had that. I like personal growth in characters, which lead to more strength and everything, and that kind of character growth. They had that. I like the characters in the series themselves, but what messed it up for me is I felt like the characters grew, and then the villains grew, and then the point that the villains grew seemed far above what the characters grew. But then when they fought, it was like
they were far below.
Like when the X-Men fight Magneto or Apocalypse, you're like, damn, if all of them weren't there, they weren't winning this. It was like, that's what it seemed like when the villains grew. But then it had these weird plot twists where like the villain got hella power, but then there was a way to cancel out. They found somebody that could cancel out the power and fight the villain without the power. And then when the villain got the power, they kept growing. The good guys kept growing in power while the villain just stayed there. I hate those sudden power bursts. You know what I mean? Yeah. And stuff like that. And it was just like they were just overwhelming the bad guys, despite the bad guys seeming to grow more powerful than the good guys when it should have been a real struggle, and it just wasn't that. And when you have something that builds to a crescendo and then it's not really that, you're like, oh, I can't wait for this battle, how are they going to pull it off? And then it's just like, oh, they're beating the hell out of it. It lessens it a lot for me personally. It
never made sense how during the final fight they're fighting, using up all the energy and stuff, and then it's like they just instantly replenished everything.
Yeah.
Because it was like there's a final fight, and then there was a final fight. And by the time they were done with the final fight, it's like they didn't even use no energy.
Yeah. But then meanwhile, and then the person who they were fighting just got the power and should have been fresh.
Yeah.
Things like that. But but the artwork and everything else was cool. But that took it a lot. That things like that lessen things a lot for me. So I'm giving it like a 7 based off of that. Too. Let me know if I'm overreacting. What you guys give it in the comments below, 1 through 10. What could have been better, in your opinion? And you already know, guys, we're on Instagram and TikTok. Follow that. Grinder Games. Follow Ninja 510. Add some group. Send some dental. All on Instagram. Follow us there. And we are out.